Yo, look who's here. We got a Benny.
Yeah.
Look who came all the way across the fucking planet. It's Benny. I know the lighting's a little dark right now. We'll fix it in a minute. But look at this. It's here. Soulsbornian Tendencies is here. Everybody, thank you so much for being here. Oh, it did not get quieter. One second. Let me turn the music down. We'll just do that real quick. There we go. That's a little better. How's the jet lag, Benny?
Didn't get really any jet lag at all. It was fine actually. It was all good. Yeah, I was pretty much fine the whole time and being taken care of by these folks. Yeah, Ricky and DZ and them. So it was all good.
yeah. Benny was in Philly House during SaltCon. Also, hello everybody. I haven't seen you guys since SaltCon. I have so much to tell you guys about SaltCon, but we're not doing that today. We will talk about SaltCon on a regular stream coming up. Today we have a very, very, very specific mission, which we won't start until the hype train is over. I love my hype train music, but I don't want to interrupt this. Today, so jelly of the SaltCon peeps, I could be convinced to do it again. We'll talk more about it, but I could be convinced for a SaltCon 2025. It could happen. I could be convinced. It was a really good time. It was an incredible weekend. And some people stayed a little bit longer, obviously. And of course, could you be convinced to do it closer to me? Maybe, Ro. Is 2025 SaltCon Europe? Do we do SaltCon Europe 2025?
Why not?
Things to consider. Kari, hello. Witch, hello. Welcome in, everybody. SaltCon Europe? Fuck yeah. It could happen. So today is a very special stream, and really quickly here, for those of you who are coming in for the first time, Benny and I have been working on a project together since January?
Yes, of a certain year.
January of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Scandinavia is a good place for SaltCons. You've heard Scandinavia is a good place for Salt. Maybe. I could be convinced. So, I could be convinced. But it's true. So, almost like half of our friendship has half the time we've known each other. We met in like late 2020, early 2021.
Yeah.
And
right.
I'm grumpy I'm not there. Maggie, next time. SaltCon World Tour, we'll do a whole world tour. That's it. Yeah, I definitely have the money to fund a world tour. We'll make it happen. If I ever win the lottery, I'll do it. But yeah, we're gonna save most of the conversation for the end. So at the end of the album, as you're listening to it, if you have questions about what you're hearing, about the process, please, we'll do it. We're gonna do a Q&A and an AMA, and all of that fun stuff at the end. But just to kind of give you guys a little bit of how this all came to be. We had started, so in 2020, in 2021, I did a collaboration jam, and I knew Benny already, but we did this thing called the Collaboration EP Jam, and the whole idea of it was everybody brings a little bit of music, like about 16 bars worth of music, divided up into each individual instrument, and we swap out parts, and then we remix each other's parts and make new songs out of it. In that, you and I collaborated. We had pieces that got traded, and collaborations happened there. And immediately I was like completely blown away by Benny's production style, and I like to think that maybe Benny thought that there was something interesting about what I was doing.
Of course.
And then a little while later, when I was working on the album Escaping Sepia by my Sonderlust album Escaping Sepia, I had a song that I really liked, but I couldn't make work. It felt flat. And so literally, like in the last month or so of me working on the album, I shoot Benny a message and be like, hey, we'd worked pretty good together before. I've got this song. I don't know what to do with it. Can you work on it with me? And I sent him the stuff and said, do whatever you want. He comes back to me like less than a week later, and what he gives me, I almost took completely unedited, and it became the song Specular Reflection. So anyone who knows the song Specular Reflection by Sonderlust, Benny did all the leads on that, and completely transformed that song and turned it into one of my favorites on the album. And so we knew pretty early on that we like had a pretty good mind together for like our process in music. And we started to ask the question, like, what would it sound like if we did something together? And what would that even sound like? And it was actually, we were having a chat during a Mara Dine stream back when Mara used to stream pretty regularly back in the day, and we were hanging out. And I don't know if it was Mara who came up with Soulsbornian Tendencies, but somebody, it might have been a few people, but in that chat with Mara and a few other folks, the name Soulsbornian Tendencies kind of came about. And then we were saying, that's a perfect artist name, we should use that. And then we were saying, okay, what would the first song by Soulsbornian Tendencies be? And the name that was suggested, which was a very, very silly, goofy, esoteric name presented by Canned Lizard, another member of the community here, Benny took that to heart and said, okay, I'm going to do that. And a little bit later, he shoots me a message and goes, hey, so I have like a rough idea for this song. I think it was during a Bloodborne stream of yours, probably. We actually found the screenshots of it being in your chat. Like we found old screenshots of it, but it was during the Bloodborne era for sure. That's how far back this is. So that song became the initial shell of the project, which we then used to create what would become what you're going to hear today. And a version of that song still exists and is actually on the album.
Right, yeah.
So that's where this whole thing started. And the whole ethos behind it was no rules, no boundaries. We both have very eclectic music taste and we wanted to express it. And so we just wrote music until something started to emerge. And what emerged is this album. The album is called Fractal Lullaby Nightmare Ballad. Andrew, welcome in. So good to see you. The album is called Fractal Lullaby Nightmare Ballad. Ro, thank you. Go get some sleep. The album will be here for you when you awake in the morning. I appreciate you coming by. And it is in 2 parts. And we're going to play both parts with a brief intermission in between them because this is a double album. So we're going to play part 1. We'll do a brief 5-minute intermission, let Twitch get their revenue, and then we will play part 2. Is that Benny? That is. This is Benny of Benny Makes Games, Benny Makes Bangers, and the talented part of Soulsbornian Tendencies.
A lot of talent here.
With that, are y'all ready? Are you guys ready for an album? Because we're gonna set the vibes, and then we're gonna get the album up and running for you guys. Are we ready to do it? Let's do it. All right. So I will see you guys in about 30 seconds. We'll see you on the other side.
It's time for Soulsbornian. Let's go to Great Adventures Select! the dark that draws to meet us. Forgotten haven of lost fabled dreams, somewhere in paradise, where you can do anything. Our town is rich with culture, of things called green and of friends we all know. And so, forget your lies, do what's right, we are here. We are here.
Let them set the bird to me. They call me. Let them set the bird to me and say yourself, I know you have it in you to save the world. Would you begin the sequence? We'll hold it off, it's all on you. We'll not disturb the station, releasing all the dreams of the crew. To all the ones who left, be close to me, to me, to me, to me, to me. Let it free. To all the ones who left, be close to me, to me, to me, to me, to me. Let it free. Oh, to me. Oh, to me.
There's no point in saving me without more love. Dreams are nothing, so let the birds cry out if you're here tonight, get close to me, to me, to me, to me, to me. We are free if you're here tonight, get close to me, to me, to me, to me, to me. We are free.
Your minimum is
and I walked to the feeling of valleys and roses astray, and I wandered alone and steadied on waiting the foreground, living still. You walk to the nearest city of mansions and cold bay, the color can feeling okay. He was just the one, and he touched the sun, and he told them that they'd be okay. As he walked to the mountain, he visited the villages, walking amongst the people, and he rode on his horse, and he galloped into nonsense, feeling lonely and lonely as sin. He walked to the nearest city of legends and called it the Colican, feeling okay. He was the one who did. He touched the sun and he told them they would be okay. He went to the nearest city of legends and called it the Colican, feeling okay. He went to the nearest city of legends and called it the Colican, feeling okay. Out from the valley way,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah.
here's a take on what.
say, wanna do, I wanna be do, but I never wanted to be. It's always it's always the thing that I wanna say, I wanna get down. I wanna get the best, I wanna get down. Right to the end of the beat. I wanna get the recipe, so fast, the recipe, the recipe, right there. So get it, wanna get that, right there, that's enough. Fast, wanna go, wanna imitate, go, keep that, I don't wanna bend, the way you wanna get it. Right as if, get it, I go. Right as if, wanna get it, get it, I go.
reward indifference. Nowhere to rest your head but cold shoulders. And so, you cry out for anyone to listen. There's a revolution in kindness, and there's reparation in love. We all hold the ability to break the cycle. So when the world closes off and you find you are lost in the night, reach out your hands for the pulse in my heart. For within each other remains still a powerful truth in the blackest dark.
In the blackest dark. In the blackest dark. There is in the blackest dark. In the blackest dark. In the blackest dark. In the blackest dark. There is a light.
Shadow drew you in. Your hopes shifted to dreams, to be found by chasing fractal lullabies.
Will you stay sleeping, singing nightmare ballads forever? Hands outstretched, we await the response. Can you hear us? It's time to wake up. Can you hear us? It's time to wake up.
Can you hear us? It's time to wake up. Can you hear us? Can you hear us? It's time to wake up. It's time to wake up. Can you hear us?
Hey y'all. Let me turn this camera a bit this way,
forward.
and you pull a bit forward.
Yeah.
We got one mic to share, so apologies if the volume's a little janky. But I hope you liked it. It seemed like you guys were bopping. That is Fractal Lullaby Nightmare Ballad. That is the debut album from Soulsbornian Tendencies, which is our project. Thoughts, concerns, complaints? Anyone got favorite tracks they can remember? I'm curious. That's the thing. Probably one of the things I'm most curious about. And if you got any questions for like, what the fuck was that? Please ask. Arkboy, thank you for coming in.
Yeah.
I like Try Hard. Thank you. So a fun fact about Try Hard, there's another version of it that may get on the Silly EP. I feel like we should chop up and finish Screamy.
Which one? Oh, Screamy. Yeah. So can I tell the story about how you sort of recorded?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think Soul kind of recorded some screams that were going to be used in a track. I don't know how, I don't know where they were going to be used. So I tried to use it in a beat, but I don't think it quite worked very well in its current state.
Yeah, it was... I really love the sound of the last one. Keeps, thank you so much. The sequence, everything for the love for sequence. Complain I was late and the only song I heard will fuel my nightmares. I love it. Well, good for you. The good thing is the album is going to be released in less than 3 hours. So you'll be able to listen to it on Bandcamp from start to finish in the next 3 hours. I might even release it early for you guys because that's just how I feel. But yes, back when I still worked at the radio station, I went into the recording booth at the radio station and literally just screamed. Like metal screams, angry screams, all that fun shit. Just like, and I just took like 5 minutes of me screaming and put it into a file and gave it to Benny. And I was like, I don't know, you want to do something with this?
The screams like, Wait, they were more. No, they weren't like that. They were more.
Yeah. There were some metal shifts. I was like,
yeah, like that.
Like shit like
I
that.
can't do that. So.
And so I just threw a bunch of stuff, and I was like, Benny, can you make something? Can you make a bop with me screaming? Thank you for the Gifty for Cars extended warranty. Thank you very much. I really love the sound of that last one. The very last one, or like the big epic that kind of went into it. Just a file of screams. Yeah, that's the kind of files that we just sent each other on this. Oh no, I'm late to the party. Serenity, it's so good to see you. We did just finish up the album. No explanation, just screams. It's true. But the album will be available in like very soon. Very, very soon the album will be available. It will be a little bit late to streaming services. There was a bit of a whoopsie-doopsie in which one of the songs, the mellow ending keys one. Oh, hell yeah. I'm glad you like that one, Keebs. There was a bit of a whoopsie when we were submitting it to streaming services where one of the songs was actually the entire album because I didn't triple check everything. I'll take the blame on it. I did a fucky-wucky. So it is going to be coming to all streaming services. It's going to be on a 2-week delay, so probably end of August it'll be on all streaming services. But we're talking Spotify if you don't like to support artists, Tidal if you do like to support artists, Apple Music, Deezer for some fucking reason. You can add, if you want to have like the most demented reels of all time, you can throw it on your Instagram reels and on your snaps. You can put them on your TikToks because we're not owned by UMG, so you won't get sued. But yeah, so in that screamy song, the bridge was what became Try Hard. Like, Benny made this really cool bridge with this sample, and I just friggin' loved it. And so I was like, hey, Benny, would you be upset if I just took the bridge and made a song out of just the bridge? And
which bridge was that?
The try so hard not to get a taste of you.
Oh yeah.
The bridge, like that was from Screamy. Late to the party, but I think my fave 3 were the sequence, Red Pepper Jelly, and Codename Tybalt. Yes, I'm so glad we're getting Tybalt love.
Tybalt was kind of a weird one because we were never quite. There was a point at which I think we're never quite sure whether it actually worked. Like Tybalt was this weird kind of bouncy thing. And I think it even just kind of came from this idea of like a horse ride, like a horse galloping along, like dong dong dong, and just like how absurd like this horse was, and then like kind of went from there. And I love like some like I don't know what genre you'd call it. Maybe like it's like Latin electronica, probably I think it is. Music from like Attica is a big inspiration for me. So Attica is like one of my big inspirations for Tybalt the first half. And as usually happens with Soulsbornian tracks, first half is like, say, mostly me, and then Salt just twists it and like transforms it into something, in that case, like drum and bass-ish sort of thing, and then we
Yeah.
kind of like alter each other's parts a bit, but mostly it's like that one's segmented in halves.
Yeah, the very interesting thing about writing music when you live 16 hours apart via Discord, because this is the second time we've ever been on the same continent ever. So we wrote this entire album in a Discord, sending stems back and forth, being like, hey, what do you think of this? Here's the stems. And then somebody else would take it and chop it up. You would take it and chop it up and send it back. And then I'd take it and chop it up and send it back. Yo, Meatball, good to see you.
Hey.
I fucking love you. So it was this wild thing. And so you get a lot of like ping-ponging vibes where, one piece is one person's, another piece is one person is another person's. Deeper Still and Elucidating Sandwich Rumpus. Fuck yeah. So, I feel like we need to talk about ESR specifically.
Okay.
So ESR, Elucidating Sandwich Rumpus, is the reason why this album exists. That was the first song. It was Canned Lizard, actually. We were like, hey, what would be a good name for a song? And Canned in chat said those 3 words, and we're like, that's insane. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then Benny went and made the initial framework that became ESR, and it went through quite a few changes since then, but like that initial wow that initial thing, that's as the day it was born. That was never changed. Mixed a little, but never changed.
Yeah, and I think I've always been like obsessed with the idea of fake bands, band names, weird band names. So when that kind of came up and the fake song name, I was like, I want to make it real.
This needs to be real.
What would it sound like if it were real? So I just quickly went in FL Studio. That initial first third of the song came together in 15 minutes. Just me, and I was using splice samples.
Splice samples, baby.
I love the splice samples, and there are popular songs now that use splice samples almost exclusively, but using them in a way that evoked Elucidating Sandwich Rumpus. And then from there, I think it was Salt loving it so much that did you want to add to
I
it?
added to it, yeah. And then I added to it. I'm like, no, we can take this, because it was about, the original track was about maybe like a minute 15 or something like that. And I was like, no, we can add to this. And we kind of ramped it up a little bit more, and then we're like, okay, this is really intense. We need a middle piece to kind of give us a breather. And you gave us the initial chords for the middle piece.
Yeah.
And then I put all the ear candy in it, so all the like parts where there's little things tingling around your ears. You can listen to this album on anything, but I do highly recommend, if you have a nice set of headphones. As always with music that I make, I throw ear candy all over the fucking all over the speaker. And there are quite a few moments when you listen to this in your headphones where I have sounds traveling through your ears or like down the back of your neck. Because I love that kind of ear candy tingly stuff. It makes me really happy.
Yeah, that's the funny thing about this, is because it's a very additive process. We only reduced maybe in the final 20% of the timeline, but the first 80%, it's almost like, because we're collaborating online and we're friends, it's like and this is a very maximalist electronic production.
Absolutely.
Where we came together with our love for noisy music, very noisy, obnoxious music, and a little bit of humor in there as well. So that it was almost like we were adding more than reducing. And then only in the final, like when you're cooking, when you have to like boil it to reduce it or something. That's what happened in the end. But at the beginning, it was just like, add this, add that. And usually Salt would be the one to add panning. And my stuff is just straight center, baby. My stuff is just straight, always in the center. And I love that Salt was able to widen the mixes. If you feel any widening in the mixes, it's usually Salt's fault there. And I love it, because otherwise it'll be quite centered. I'm learning how to use panning.
I mean, it's in the name. I pan everything, including my music. I can't help it. But no, and I think one of the things that makes this project so much fun is that there's a lot of stuff that we see eye to eye on, but approach it separately.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's something really fun that, like, you know, we've talked a lot about musical influences, and you talk about like Charlie XCX, and you talk about that whole world of music. And my influences are all like prog rock and prog metal and songs that go on way too long, and you know, are just masturbatory. Like people were saying, because the final full length track before the outro is our longest on the album. It's over 7 minutes. There is over a 7 minute long track, and people are like, wow, that's a long song. And I'm like, is it? I thought that was reasonable.
Yeah, we both love progressive music, so music that changes over time. If you heard the album and you didn't know already, this album changes a lot. Even within a single track, even within a single instance, it can change from loud to quiet. And I will never be rest with a beat that lasts more than 4 beats.
It's true.
And Soul is one probably to be more progressive over time, automating over a long period of time. And I think that balances out, because I'm just like going frenetically between all these beats, and then Salt will kind of bring a more cohesiveness to it, I think.
I think the beauty of it is you have so many amazing compositional ideas and directions to take stuff, and you jam them into 2 minutes, and I'm like, I could turn this into 13. You know what I mean? Like, I hear this and I'm like, there's 13 minutes of music here that you've done in 2 minutes and 30. So like, all I ever really do, I find, is take incredible ideas you have and let them breathe. And like I came in to throw in a lot of really choppy beats. A lot of the really glitchy drums are mine. A lot of them are also yours.
Yeah.
Okay, so you never met Benny until you finished the album. I met Benny once before finishing the album. We were about maybe halfway through the album when we met for the first time. So we had written the majority of it, and actually that's a fun story too. We had written the majority of it before we met. We met in Philadelphia last June.
Yeah.
So a year and a bit ago. And at the time, the project was a little bit stagnated because I had so many things going on in my life, and it wasn't the project. While we did work on it for 30 months, there were definitely moments where we took a deep breather, where like I had stuff to do or Benny had stuff to do. Life kind of got in the way. But there came a point where we were like, okay, we've been making. Let's pause for a second, see what we actually have. And then we did the count, and at the time, I think we had 25 or 26 songs.
Yeah.
And we were like, maybe we need to stop making new songs and actually like clamp these down, because we have so much music. The first run before we started doing any sort of editing was like well over 90 minutes.
Yeah. And we have to credit Riggy for being one of the early listeners of the project. And I've got a few friends as well who I haven't asked if I can credit them, so I'm not going to. But just different people who were, and also you can credit anybody who listened to the album early.
Yeah, I mostly gave occasional songs to people. I would sneak songs over to like my best friend Jack. I think I snuck a song to Azura. Pella, by virtue of living with me, heard half of the album. Against her will. No, that's a joke. She's been nothing but extremely supportive of me making obnoxiously loud music and subjecting her to it. And a few other people every once in a while, I'd be like, hey, you want to hear a snippet of a thing? And I would just send it to them unprompted. And half the time I sent people stuff and didn't tell them it was for this project. I'm just like, what do you think of this? And that was it.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually will shout out names: Arkboy, Keebs, and I don't know how to call the other person, but there was just a bunch of people, but especially Riggy, I think, was the one who listened through the entire thing and
Absolutely.
gave detailed feedback about each track.
Yeah.
And that actually gave us some pause and some sort of like reflection to go, okay, even about like keeping the silly songs off the album, which is a big choice. And I think it benefited the tone and the messaging of the track overall, of the album overall.
Yeah, because like when we were writing, it was like our whole thing was no rules, no boundaries. There was nothing off limits in terms of how we would do it. If we wanted to just make something choppy and abrasive and aggressive, we could. If we wanted to slow it down, we did. There was nothing off the table during the writing phase. when I was at university, when I was studying English and creative writing, I had a professor, and what he used to always say is, you write like a nurturing mother and then you edit like a hungry shark. And I really tried to take that approach when we came into the editing phase, where we had all of these babies, we had all these darlings, and I was like, okay, we need to be real about what we want to say here. And we started to discover that we had, without really speaking about it, but both of us were coming back to these returning themes musically of like this sense of like foreboding darkness and, you know, wanting to protect the people we love from this like dark feeling around people. And that's where we came up with the idea of the two albums. They actually, each album has its own individual name. The album as a whole is Fractal, Lullaby, Nightmare Ballad. Part 1 is called The Shadow, and it's like that sinking dark feeling that just kind of lives in the back of your head and floats above the home, and just kind of lives there. And then the second part is The Response, which is how do you handle and approach the shadow when it comes for you and when it comes for the people you love.
Yeah, and it's also like that wasn't planned beforehand.
No.
We were almost going to just be like Soulsbornian Tendencies. I even had it in mind. I thought it was going to be self-titled, no themes, just splat at the wall. And then like certain songs like The Sequence, We Are Here, and then like There Is a Light, I think was the first track to have a clear message, and that was because of Salt's wonderful narration on top of that. And then it started to like connect with the sequence, and I started thinking of worlds. Like I was like, there is a sequence that you type in to release some souls, and they are here, but they are having a good time, but maybe they don't know about some worrisome thing that's happening. And then like there's this rider that goes around telling people that they're okay, but how does that fit in? We might even have different theories about how it fits in, but we want to keep that vagueness alive.
Yeah.
So it's all these ideas that were rushing around, maybe even like after the 80% mark of the album's completion.
Yeah, no, it was we were still creating up until like we were mixing songs and adding things to them as we were mixing them. There were definitely a few moments where it'd be like, all right, so all we need to do on this track is like up the bass a little bit and pan this over a little bit, and then one of us would come back and just go, so I've added another section. Yeah,
that's how it happened.
Osen is asking a very important musical question, which is, have you tried poutine yet, Benny?
Now here's the thing. I tried poutine. Yes, I did. From Five Guys.
Yeah, we still got to get Benny a bit more of a proper poutine before he leaves. Yeah. But he did have the Five Guys, which like Five Guys has great fries. I don't know how much I don't know how I feel about their gravy and their curds, but they do have great fries.
Right. And yeah, Agboy says you fight the shadow with swords. Yeah, that was the idea with the swords. Because I guess from the beginning, the name Soulsbornian Tendencies brought about these themes. We did discuss pretty early on this theme of, if it's going to be like Soulsbornian, which is obviously like Dark Souls, Bloodborne type games, there's this idea of fighting and trying again, even when you fail. Yeah. And perseverance. And like resting when you need to. That's why there's like a rest part in the middle. Like that when I was creating that visual for the waiting screen between and the nature, it's like you do need to rest before you move forward. And that was an idea that was early on. That's why the swords thing came about.
Yeah, and like interestingly enough, as much as like Soulsbornian Tendencies as a name is kind of silly, the more I started to think about it, the more I realized there is a serious nature to it as well. I come from a lot of punk and metal roots, so I'm sure if there's anyone who's a big punk fan, you catch the unintentional reference in the band Suicidal Tendencies, right? And I love that band, but I think there's something really fun about playing on that with Soulsbornian when you think about Soulsbornian being perseverance against the odds and never giving up, right? Like to beat a Soulsbornian game, to be Soulsbornian is to fight against incredible odds over and over again until you finally beat them. And taking Suicidal Tendencies and playing on that with Soulsbornian in that way, I think there's something shockingly unintentionally but beautifully powerful in it. I feel like after every hard song there's a calm song to balance it out. We did try to give some breathers.
I will say that a lot of the track listing stuff and the sequencing of the album. A lot of thanks goes to Salt for that, because I do love the sequence of the album, but I didn't quite know how to sequence it myself, and Salt kind of brought the first template, and then I kind of responded like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I wanted to, as we were finishing the sequence, we realized, oh, we might need to put that last instead of We Are Here.
Yeah.
But other than that, I was mostly happy with a lot of the sequencing and even title names. Well, a lot of the title names come from beat names anyway.
Yeah.
Like, I just probably was feeling tired that day and thought Finite Powers or something, and then they ended up being the track name. But then a lot of them were renamed according to different things.
Yeah, like I would say somewhere between 50 to 60% of the song titles are exactly as they were the day we first started them. Like, you know, Elucidating Sandwich Rumpus is unchanged. I could honestly go through it real quick.
Yeah.
Now I'm kind of curious. Let me see here. I'm actually gonna go through the track listing real quick, and I can almost guaranteed tell you which ones didn't change.
Yeah.
So like, Elucidating Sandwich Rumpus didn't change. Finite Powers didn't change. First You Slang It didn't change. Tybalt only changed a little bit. That one was just called Tybalt. And I feel like we need to talk about that song a little bit. We'll get to that in a minute. We changed it to Codename Tybalt because I was being cheeky. Try Hard was technically originally Screamy, but Try Hard was the first name that that version of it had. Flare 3 is a stupid joke. So I didn't catch on to this for so long, but Benny, when he names songs, he'll name it, and then when he iterates on it, he just puts a number beside it.
Well, that's correction. That's what FL Studio does.
Oh, FL Studio
when
does
you
it.
when you click Save a New Version, it'll go Flare, Flare 2, Flare 3, Flare 4 automatically. So that's how FL Studio does its versioning of its song.
So Benny sends a song called Flare 2 with nothing else, right? And so we work on it for like 2 years as Flare 2. And then when we finally finished it, we're like, what do we name it? And I jokingly said Flare 3. And I said that for 2 reasons. One, because it's the new and improved final version of Flare 2, so obviously 3. Oops, that's a link. It's okay, we won't click it.
But that's exactly the thing. Final.
yeah, final for real. But the other reason why I really like calling it Flare 3 is because the song actually has 3 minutes and it's 3 movements. So by accident, the song is all about threes. So on top of it being kind of a pun on Flare 2, there was an accidental actual connection to it as well.
See, I didn't know that. I just learned that right now. That's the power of collaboration, really. Yeah. You learn new secrets even, on your own music.
The Boulder is no longer conflicted. That was the exact same name. Yes, that is a reference to what you think it's a reference to. It is an Avatar: The Last Airbender reference.
I don't know.
Yeah, you didn't know that. I just named it that.
I haven't watched Avatar in full,
That is now actually the second Avatar reference I've made in my music. It's just a very quotable show, so it's just fun to make song titles out of. We Are Here didn't change.
Oh yeah, We Are Here didn't change. Yes. Yeah.
The sequence did.
Yeah. We don't need to talk about why it didn't change.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, we don't need to talk about it. But like, long story short, it had another reference, and then the name was a reference to something else. And then we changed it.
Yeah.
And then we changed and eventually we settled on the sequence.
Oh, I can explain. Like, it did have a vocal sample saying "Until Then."
Yeah.
So it was called Until Then, but we changed to the sequence once we learned of its vocal. It wasn't going to have lyrics in it, was it? It was initially lyricless.
It was going to be instrumental, and then literally when we were in the last 6 weeks, of editing, we were like, okay, we need to finish the album in time to release it for this. And in that last 6 weeks, Benny goes, hey, I added a verse to this song. Let me know if you like it. And I went, holy fuck, this is really good. I need to add a verse. And so I did my verse. And the sequence is actually the first ever recorded song that has my vocals on it. I've been a singer for my whole life, but I've never recorded a song that I sang on. The sequence is the first song that I've ever sang on. So
yeah, I think the sequence is also special because we did talk about themes of it as we were going, and we changed the lyrics to fit the theme. So like we were spinning a tale, and then I told Salt the tale so far. It's almost like when you start a story and then you get someone else to finish it. So I was like, here's the characters that I have in mind. There's a person inputting a sequence to let go some souls. It's about loving the friends and family and keep them close to your heart and protecting them. And then you go with your part. And then Salt just went for it.
Yeah. And like, you know, I was talking about like this idea of like self-sacrifice to protect the people you love. And I loved this idea of another person being like, if you're going to sacrifice yourself to save me, then I would rather stand beside you and die. Like, I'd rather die beside you than you know, rather to stand and fight together than to let one person kind of fall. And just this idea of like, both the validity of wanting to do everything you can to protect the ones you love, but also the understanding that like there is strength in unity rather than individualism. And yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's the first time I've heard that explained.
So like this is the thing about the way that we've written this album, right? Is like we both put so much of our own hearts into it. And there's so much and I'm a big believer that once art is out in the world, it's not just yours anymore. It belongs to everyone, and the interpretations are for everyone too. And so I think, you know, my story and Benny's story are just two angles of what is hopefully a very crazy, multifaceted little jewel for you guys to tinker around with. The other two songs I didn't mention, the intro, It's Time, and the outro, Enter Shadow, those were made in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. This one,
we were talking about, wouldn't it be funny to have like a little short intro, and so I recreated the THX noise and vocoded my own voice on it. So that voice that's going, it's time for Soulsbornian Tendencies in the THX voice, that's me vocodering myself in a THX.
I still don't know how they did it, so
it was fun to put that together. And then Enter Shadow was literally the night we were wrapping the album up and submitting it to everything. I took the fade out piece of the sequence and like filtered it and chopped it and then put a beat on it, and I'm like, hey, look at this silly little thing. I did this little thing, maybe it'd be fun to put on the bonus EP that we are eventually going to be doing. And then Benny was like, hey, so I added some extra synths to it and lengthened it a bit, and I was like, oh, this is a track now. And it, because it comes off the tail of the sequence, they flow into each other really nicely, and I was like, oh, this is a transition track. I think we need to use this.
Yeah, it feels like, sometimes it feels like a miracle. It's just like, it slots in there. And even, I hadn't listened to the sequencing of the track in the sequence of the album until it was uploaded. And hearing it and going, because that was Salt's doing, and going, oh, that's a really nice transition. But I trust Salt that much with the transitioning and the sequencing that
it wasn't so far out though that I wouldn't have been able to remove it, which is why I was like, I made the decision. I'm like, I'm gonna throw it in there, and if Benny goes, no, I don't like that, it wouldn't have been tough for me to just go, okay, remove that one song.
Yeah.
So
I didn't even pay attention to like mixing of the kick and that. I was just like, slap the kick on. Do you like this idea, Salt? And Salt's like, yep, it's going on the album.
Done.
I'm like, okay, all right.
Clip it and ship it.
I didn't mix that at all, but okay, as long as it works.
Trusting Salt transitioning. Okay, Kat. Now listen. You're not wrong though. You're not wrong. Part 2. Medieval Ballad didn't change names.
Yeah. Interesting thing about Medieval Ballad is because I actually wanted to make a song where I got people's voices, different people in our community. There's lots of different people who can sing in our community, and this was before Salt had their verse in the sequence. I was like, I want like a choir of voices. So I made this demo track with my voice doing these harmonies and stuff. And I guess we decided to keep it that way.
We just didn't get a chance to get around to it. Sometimes trying to get people in our community to do stuff can be a little bit like herding cats, including us. We are also two cats that need to be herded. So I definitely I think that's a great idea for the future, and I would love to revisit that. Like especially now that like Mario has an audio interface to actually record with, and we get Riggy on it. And we got a whole bunch of great folks. Anyone who wants to lend vocals and get a nice choral going.
I'd love to.
Yeah. On part 2 on the response, yeah, Medieval Ballad, we didn't change it. Getting Ash on that. So I've said this before. Ash is a fucking guitar god. He is such a one-take Tony. Like, I don't think he gave you more than like 1 or 2 cuts.
Just like, yeah, a couple stems. Yeah, a couple stems. And the thing was, that was originally in that place, I cut up splice samples of guitar solos in there. But having Ash in there brings it's like someone's actually playing guitar instead of, cutting together samples so obviously that someone can hear, oh, there's a different song.
Yeah.
Having like a real guitar really brings that oomph to the track.
I think one of my favorite little secrets about that song is because there's 2 guitar solos, right? There's the very chill guitar solo, and then we amp up the song, and the guitar comes back for a bit of a more intense guitar solo, but it's actually the exact same audio in both solos. In the chill solo, I think Ash did like a left and a right channel guitar.
Right, yeah, something like that. I can't remember.
How happy did the drum solo make you? So which one? Which
Soul
one?
added a lot of drum solos to this album, and it was really wonderful.
So obviously there are some Sonderlust tracks that are very drum and bass inspired, and I like to make my drum and bass from scratch. Don't get me wrong, I love me an Amen break. The Amen break is one of the most iconic pieces of drumming on the planet. But there's something really satisfying about writing your own Amen break from scratch and then fucking with it. And so I'd done that a few times. Obviously, a lot of people know the song Octane, the Sonderlust track. And there's a few others that I use that same kick on. I think Eastbound Gardner Sunsets. And so I brought back that kit again for this album. But I was like, I gotta go crazier. I can go crazier, and I know I'm allowed to. So that was where, like, on Red Pepper Jelly, on
Elucidating, right?
Elucidating, there's a little bit of it. On Tybalt, there's a little bit of it. And there's another one on album 1. The name is falling out of my head real quick here. Finite Powers. During Finite Powers, I go pretty nuts at the end. And then you actually took it even further.
Yeah, the thing is, Salt loves the drum programming stuff, but I also love, I think, chopping up in general. So the way that I work with FL Studio, there's a lot of chopping that I do and rearranging. So that's the way that I create some. And I think one of the most obvious examples of that, which is the one where I do the crazy glitches in.
Yeah.
I forgot the track.
It's that's the Boulder.
The Boulder. The Boulder glitches are some of, I think that is the craziest glitches I've ever done.
Yeah, it's so good. Just before the laser show.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Red Pepper Jelly, another one. So that was actually originally called Spicy Chicken Jam. And we don't know why. I think it was because you had some spicy chicken that day.
Yeah, I know it was a jam. It was not like jam like the jelly jam.
Mm-hmm.
It was a jam like, hey, I'm jamming type thing. And I think it was maybe just there was some spicy chicken somewhere along the line. So,
And so it was called Spicy Chicken Jam for a long time. And when we're coming with another name for it, I was like, I kind of want to keep the energy of Spicy Chicken Jam, but maybe something that's real. So we named it Red Pepper Jelly because that's a real thing. And then there's the jelly and jam pun, which is fun.
Yeah, and I like, it's kind of a sticky beat anyway, isn't it? It's a little bit of a sticky, jammy beat.
It's true. I mean, that pretty much was called that almost since the beginning. If it had another name, I forget. No, it did have another, it literally was just called Ruina Sample for the longest time.
Yeah, it was. Which is because the synth that you were using was Ruina? Was that the name of it?
Yeah, so what I did, Ruina is actually a distortion that I have. And literally all it does is like, hey, do you have this thing that sounds nice? If you put it in Ruina, as the name may imply, it makes it doesn't sound nice anymore. And so I just made this really simple chord progression and then put it through different Ruina presets to give it all these crunchy, distorted versions. And then Benny took that, sped it up to an actual like chord progression, and then made up the rest of it.
Well, the way I took it was kind of funny because Yeah Yeah is the only track that stems from us being in a Discord call.
Yeah, we were actually in a call together writing it.
Yeah, because Salt was just playing around with some plugins, and then I heard the noise. It's at the beginning of the song, Yeah Yeah, and I was like, I like that noise. That's
You
a
sent
nice
that?
noise. Yeah, and then Salt just sent that to me, and then went with it.
And then go was another example of us not knowing what to call a song. The song was just called Go Beat for the longest time, and we tried to come up with like other clever names. I mentioned during the stream for a short second it was called $200 for passing because I like the Monopoly joke, but ultimately I thought, and I think we both kind of agreed on this, that just call it Go 8 billion times because that's funny and stupid. And it reminded me a lot actually of MCR's Na Na Na, which was part of the reason why I was like, if My Chemical Romance can do that and have like a #1 hit, we can do it and have a number 7 billion hit.
I just like the word go.
It's great. Go is my favorite anime. Sand, thank you. In this ramshackle town, again, never changed names.
Might be our most nightmarish track, perhaps. One of the most nightmarish ones.
That one came out so bleak.
Yeah.
I love it.
It had a few versions as well. I even had a version where I was like muttering like, I'm going through the town. So I was like doing muttering. We scrapped that, but
yeah, we definitely were like, this is our absolutely deranged, like someone is coming to kill you song.
Yeah.
Like we just wanted to have this like sense of dread of just like around any corner you are not safe in this town. And so I think we succeeded in that. It also has one of my favorite moments of sound design where it has like the circling the drain, like bubbling moment.
That you created that, right?
Yeah.
That was a late addition too. That was pretty late in the process, even like 80-90% into it. And it's one of my favorite textures of the album is the bubbliness in that track.
Yeah.
There is the bubble sound effect, which is just another splice sample.
Yeah.
That I use, but then you create some real bubbles using some plugin. I don't even know what you used.
It was a couple of so that sound effect, that swirling sound effect, is actually 3 different layers of sound that are panning at different frequencies.
Right.
So different parts are in different parts of the ear at different times, which gives it that revolving sound. But I had like a gurgling sound and like a whooshing sound, and I just kind of like let it circle, and I just let it do it. I'm like, I'm just gonna let this run for like a minute, and then I put a beat under it, and I was like, we'll find a way out of this. I don't know. I
loved it. It's one of those things that you receive and you go, oh, that's one thing I should say is that a lot of the patterns of these tracks are like someone lays down the foundation, and then I hear what Salt has done to it, and hearing that is like one of the coolest experiences. Because you've started the start of the song, and then you wait for the moment where it's going to switch into something different, and then it does, and usually I like it. I mean, I can't think of a time when I didn't like it. It's like, oh, let's go. This is great in a new context. It's a rush of a feeling to create in that way.
Yeah.
And I must say, it was a lot easier to build the album than to mix and reduce it, because that was the painful part, because I didn't know what to remove in order to make it feel good. It was very difficult, the mixing part for me, and all that was the difficult part for me.
I feel like it's the dopamine of it, right? The dopamine of adding more all the time, like more is so good, and the struggle of pulling back, and not even in a case of like, this is not good, therefore it must go, but just in a case of like, does this serve the song? Does this achieve the goal we want? I can't wait to hear a Black Hole sampled song from you guys. I want to. After listening to the Black Hole, we went to a really fancy space bar, and one of the drinks you can get comes with noise canceling headphones to listen to a Black Hole. And when I was listening to it, I'm like, I want to sample this. I want to put this in a song. I want to put this in a song so bad. So like, Black Hole song will come eventually.
Yeah. Black Hole song.
Yeah. Watch out, Soundgarden. Slobbermaw. That song name also didn't change. And that all started from one Flutter synth that I had, and then it just kind of blew up from there.
Slobbermore is very much Assault type of name for a song.
Yeah, that is a me title for sure. Resin 8. So Resin 8 is the second time that we goofed on Flare 2. This is actually the second time that we goofed on Flare 2. But also it's because it's Resin 8. And my favorite part about it was that for the longest time you thought the song was just called Resin because of it.
Yeah. For the opposite reason. You thought it was the name of Flare 2 was Flare 2, and I thought the name of Resin 8 was just Resin.
Yeah.
I was like, okay,
and it was the
Resin.
eighth. It was the 8th version of Resin.
Yeah.
But I was making a pun. But I love, so actually, and I don't think you know this because it's something from right at the beginning. There is actually one person that needs a bit of a shout out on Resin 8. And that is Andrew's Bakery, or Andrew, I think formerly known as Andrew the Gay Baguette. So that like bow 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 sound, the very 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 first version of that sound actually came from Andrew. He had posted that sound sample in the Discord, and I'd said to him way back in the day, I'm like, I love this. I want to use this for something. And I was like, can I use it? And Andrew's like, yeah, go for it. I'd love to. And so like way back in the day, I showed him a very early version of Resonate. I'm like, this is what I'm working on. And I'm sure at this point, he's actually probably completely forgotten about it.
Right.
But like that initial sample, now we've completely changed it and distorted it and crunched it and based it out. But the original like, meow, meow, it was like a couple octaves higher, and it had this like different tone to it. And since then we've distorted the ever-living fuck out of it, but yeah,
that one for me, I kind of channeled some 100 Gex from their album 10,000 Gex. I kind of liked some of their very in-your-face synths and stuff, and the kind of simple beats where it's like even there's like a Daft Punk kind of influence in there.
It definitely has a little bit of like a Robot Rod kind of feeling in there too. I mean, our influences are all over the place. You mentioned Death's Dynamic Shroud.
Love them, yeah.
In Tryhard specifically, I was channeling Venetian Snares, who I think is a fucking genius. A mad genius, but a genius. And then, like, I think, like, people mentioned, like, Hudmo.
Yeah.
And
Hudmo for Red Pepper Jelly. That was my influence for that.
Absolutely. And then... our other, I think, most frenetic song on the album, Hey, Do You Mind If I Just Info Dump for a Sec? That for a long time, I think, was just called Dark Flail.
Yes. Which kind of stems from a song that I initially helped create for Riggy's upcoming game, Gentle.
Yeah.
But I then kind of remixed it and created something completely different out of it. So it's not the same as that song from that game, but it is... one of the weirdest songs. There were some songs, I gotta admit, I was unsure about whether to include because I was like, did people vibe with this? And then it turns out there are some people who were saying in the chat today, they're like, I like the unhinged songs. And those were the particular songs like Tybalt and Info Dump and Ramshackle Town, where I was a little bit, I was like, are people going to resonate with this this sound? Because I was like, I know I like it, and so it was like, well, I like it, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I mean, at a certain point, you know, you have to. I'm a big believer in you have to make music for yourself first. If you like it, then that's the most important thing.
Right.
The song got changed to Hey, Do You Mind If I Just Info Dump for a Sec? Literally because I was coming up with song titles, and as I was saying to Kat, and Kat agrees with me. This is what it feels like both in your own head and also on the receiving end when somebody decides they're going to info dump at you. And I say that with love as somebody who info dumps. Like when your brain is just firing on every cylinder simultaneously and there's a little bit of a buzzing in the back of your brain and you're just like, let me tell you everything I know about this one specific thing right now. And it's just, I was like, it's silly, but I feel like it's accurate.
Yeah, and I guess because the vocal sample from Infodump is my voice, it's literally just going, you know, like that. I'm just like saying random words. Some of them are not even real words, and I guess that is infodumping. It sounds like that in your brain. You're just saying gibberish. So the entire thing has some words in it that came out of my mouth, but most of it is just gibberish.
Yeah, which is perfect. It's perfect. That ADHD infodump, true. Yeah. It's so true. Speaking of songs that were originally things that were going to be in Riggy's game, Gentle, hilariously, immediately after that is Deeper Still.
Right,
And so Deeper Still was me messing around. Lore accurate, Benny? Yeah, exactly. Deeper Still was actually me experimenting with some synths and some ideas for a very evil sounding, creepy ambient track I'm also making for Riggy's game, Gentle. I ended up making another track that ended up going on the game soundtrack, which I'm very excited about. But I really liked this one where I just did these really slow and low synths, and then I did like frequency ring modulation on them to get those like woo, 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 like those really weird moments. And that was all knob modulation that I did live and then just took it. And so when I originally presented it, I was like, I want it to be this evil, dark, foreboding, menacing, like ambient track. And I just wanted people to feel like they're just like trapped in hell for 4 minutes before we went on to like some other track.
And obviously I forgot all of that. I ignored it entirely. And it used to be, this track used to be that it was a big explosion of happiness and joy from the beginning. Really an orchestral track that I was like, I'd just listen to a lot of the Core Keeper OST. Core Keeper, one of my favorite OSTs at the moment. And also a little bit Stardew and like big happy chords and stuff. So, and then I had a version of that had that explosion of happiness from the start, and Sultan was like, "Where's my moody song gone?"
Yeah, I was just like, not for nothing, because I really like where this is going, but I wanted some angst here, and Benny was like, "My bad."
Yeah, and the funny thing is that a lot of the things where you just try and listen to each other, because Salt was saying, what if we kind of introduced it a bit later? So I edited it so that it came in halfway, and I introduced a little bit of real guitar strumming and vocals. There's also real guitar on We Are Here as well.
Yeah.
Out of tune because I don't know how to tune my electric guitar properly.
But I'm gonna be 100% honest. As a lifelong Nine Inch Nails fan, I have a big love for out of tune guitars. Like normally intentionally so, but I'll take unintentionally out of tune anyway. There's something beautiful about that brokenness.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I'm gonna use this texture. I love the texture stuff. That wasn't on purpose. It's kind of like a thing where I'm playing the guitar and I'm going, it's in tune, but there's a type of tuning with a guitar where like the neck of the guitar or something might be a bit out of shape, so when you play it up here it's fine, but when you play it down here it's not fine, and then you have to tune it again, and it's just an old guitar that can't tune, but it's the only electric guitar I have. So it's more like it can't tune, and I was like, well, I'm just going to have to play it, and then it was on purpose because I'm playing it and I'm going, that sounds good. So yeah, so far I've tuned it in, and it has a little bit of, I've used it quite a bit in my songs, like a gritty kind of out of tuneness. So it is that sort of Nine Inch Nails style.
Yeah. What do they say about guitars? They spend 90% of the time tuning the guitars and the other 10% of the time playing out of tune.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah, and so Deeper Still, and like, to be clear, I really love Deeper Still. I think where you ended up taking it and where you approached it, especially because I was like, I wrote these really dark chord progressions, and you just found beauty inside of them. Because I actually said, I was like, what did you do to my song? And Benny was like, I didn't change anything. I just did chords on top of your progression.
That's right, because Salt had a bass progression in the song that probably wasn't meant to be made into chords, but then I tried to do the harmonization of the bass in a way that made sense, and that's what came up within it. And I was like, well, this has some nice, unexpected chord changes that I wouldn't think of if I hadn't just followed a bass line that was already there. That was a little bit unusual, to be honest, because it goes out of scale and stuff like that.
Well, who needs music theory? I certainly don't. That's not true. Music theory is important. I just never studied it. I use music theory. I just don't realize it because I don't know what I'm talking about. And then There Is Light There. I could probably talk about this song all day. This is a song that just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger because we just felt like we had more and more and more to give it. I'm a big fan of the Mars Volta is probably the easiest way to start off the sentence with this song. And so when Benny presented this interesting intro using these like discordant and beautiful horn harmonies, and this like deep and emotional like bass tones and just this powerful swells. And I was like, okay, I was immediately transported to the Francis the Mute album, which is one of my favorite albums of all time. And I was like, no, I wanted to pay a bit of a personal, quiet homage to Francis the Mute in my own way. But I wanted to do it in a way that still made sense. And so as we were fleshing out this like concept of like the like dreams and the souls being released and being in this dream state, or maybe they're not in this dream state and being in this like between reality kind of world, I liked this idea of taking some samples of nature, like rain samples and birds chirping and like forest sounds, and throwing them into this like 8 kilohertz like crushed sample glitch fest that slowly breaks out of the glitch and comes back to life.
Well, you found a forest sample in my stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then you decided to say, hey, let's turn that up.
Yeah. And well, I also added like 3 or 4 more extra ones.
Oh yeah, you were like, okay, yeah.
So I found your forest sample in there that was so buried inside of it. And I was like, no, we're gonna more forest,
bring
please.
it up. Right, yeah, okay.
I hear some Mecha Amputecture in there. I mean, absolutely. Mecha Amputecture, Francis the Mute era, like that early, those first 3 albums, up to Bedlam and Goliath, like the first half of the Mars Volta discography, I think is flawless. And I wanted to put, obviously the rest of it is not a Mars Volta song. It is a very, synth driven, solo heavy, feels track.
Yeah. And like when I was crafting the intro to this song, and it was I'd only listened to the first 2 albums of Mars Volta because Riggy DZ and Salt had introduced me to them. But before then, I actually helped. I don't know who I helped produce. Black Country New Road and Black Midi.
Yeah, Black Midi.
Black Midi and Black Country New Road, and that's where I got the horns sort of feeling from, because they really get the discordant sort of horns going in some of the songs, and I was like, I kind of want that intro, and then it kind of created new stuff from there. So I was like, it's this really fragmented intro. And then, of course, the Death Dynamic Style Drop came later. I was listening to Judgment Bolt by then. I love that song.
And yeah, Death Dynamic Shroud influences. That album, probably, I think I have more solos on that one song than I have in most of the rest of my discography.
Yeah, there's some, is it clicked by hand, or is it done by keyboard?
They were done on this little guy.
Okay. Here it comes.
Pretty much all of my writing is done on this. I think I've written everything I've ever written is on this keyboard.
Right.
And so it was a lot of takes to get it to actually land, because here I am writing solos on a keyboard and I can't play keyboard. But a lot of times when I write, I know what I want something to sound like in my head. And I'm like, I will just grind it out until I get the sound that I want.
That's really half the battle, is because that's the tip that people give when playing solos is you should get to the phase where you know what you're about to play and then you play it. But sometimes you would know probably what you want to play and then you don't play it, but then you try again and then
until
you do
get there,
until you do. But at least you had the vision in your mind of the notes that you want to hit, and that's part of doing the solo. And I love those solos. They're fantastic.
Yeah, and it was just really fun. And that the spoken word on the track was I think one of the first actual lyrics that we really started to put in when we started to really kind of flesh this out. And just knowing where we were, and just the idea of being like, hey, you're not alone. There's a way out of the dark, and it's other people, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, you wrote that entire thing. That was, I mean, I heard that and I was like, that's amazing. And I just added some extra musical flourishes and sections, and then they added some musical flourishes and sections, and it was amazing.
Before we knew it, it was 7 minutes and 10 seconds long.
Yeah.
And then To Wake Up was just another spoken word piece to kind of close it out, tie everything all together with a bow. Although, fun fact, the main melodic structure of To Wake Up that closes the album is a slowed down version of the bridge in ESR.
Yes.
So it comes back full circle and grabs the chill part from the first full song on the 2-length EP and kind of bookends it, which is one of my favorite things to do, and one of my favorite things in every prog album ever, when they do like a reprise and bookend things and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was another idea of Salt that Salt added it, and I was like, yep, I love that.
Yep.
That's amazing. Go with that.
The themes are so fitting for this weekend. I mean, that's also a big part of the reason why we wanted to release it now, right? Is like, this is where we've been, and this is like kind of headspace we've been in, and to release it just after SaltCon, when like we had this amazing opportunity to spend all this time with all these great people from all over the world, it just felt like the proper capstone.
Yeah, and I was, we were just thinking about when to release it, and it was a crazy idea to think about actually releasing when we were in the same space. It's
Well, we could be here like this, right?
Yeah, and it was a bit of a rush because like, okay, it's only like, was that like a month and a half until when we decided we actually wanted to get it done at this time. But it also forces us to actually finish this thing, because we all know, well, for anybody who's tried to create something, the finishing is one of the hardest parts, and to finish something, release it is just, it's just a joyful thing.
Absolutely. And also just like, we're both like ADHD kids, so like getting us to fixate, right? The best and most dangerous thing that Benny ever did was like, when we were like a week into this commitment, and he would just went, we're gonna need a Trello board. I've made us a Trello board of all the things we need to get done. And then as soon as I had that, it was really funny because you had a vacation with family.
Yes,
and
to Samoa, yeah.
Yeah, and so he goes on vacation, and while he was on vacation, there was a bunch of stuff that was assigned to me. I'm like, okay, I'll take care of these things, you'll take care of those things, and we'll figure out the rest later. And I just I had nothing to do that week, and I just crushed through my Trello board in a week, and then went, I'll take that too. I'll take that too. So poor fucking Benny comes back after a nice time with family, and I'm just like, hey, I've done everything except for the things that are assigned to you. Yeah. No pressure.
And Salt knows this, that I can't let a thing go.
Yeah.
I am a big perfectionist to the point where Salt has to try and pry my hands off of the thing. Salt was like, could you at least send me the stems to this thing that you've almost finished? And I'm almost like, I must do everything, but even the tracks that we thought were finished, I'm adding new stuff because I'm not happy with how they are at the moment. I'm always like, no, it's a bit of my personality, and it's something that I have to battle against. I'm almost never happy with how something is. But I love some things, and I was happy listening to this album and going, yeah, I am proud of what we've done, and I'm very, very happy with this album.
Me too.
Even if I do listen to some parts and go, that could be changed, but that's just my personality. I'll never, if it were up to me, it would never get released. So
and I think the hardest part of any creative project is, it's like the project isn't done when the project is not done when it's finished. It's done when you release it. You know what I mean? Because it's never finished. And I think that my ethos with Sonderlust from the beginning was release everything, for that reason, because otherwise I wouldn't release anything. And so I was like, I would rather put an ugly song out than no song. And that was a really scary thing to do, and it took me a long time to be okay with that. And I think a lot of people never get there, and maybe sometimes to my detriment, because I won't say, because I'm very fortunate that the people who like my music have been very kind about all my music. But there are definitely songs in my collection that when I listen back to them, I'm like, I would delete this song now. It's too late now. But
The funny thing being is that those songs might very well be some of people's favorite songs.
more than once, somebody has said, "Oh yeah, I really love X song," and in the back of my head, I'm like, I hate that song. And not even because I think it's a bad song, but because I can hear where I made mistakes, quote unquote.
Yeah.
I hear it every single time, and other people don't. And I think that's the other important thing is like nobody else sees behind the curtain unless you show them.
Yeah, there's samples. There's even solos here where I can hear myself. I'm like, I made a mistake there.
Yep.
I made a mistake. And Salt's like, doesn't sound like it. It sounds fine.
Yeah.
And then sometimes when I re-listen, I'm like, oh yeah, it does sound fine. And then sometimes I re-listen, I'm like, so it's just like, it depends on the mood. But
Yeah.
I think the critical voice is something that's always very helpful to creating because it causes you to make good things. But it can also cause you to release nothing at all.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we just kind of ranted about the whole album because let us just info dump for a sec, you know. I hope that answered most people's questions. If anyone has just happy little trees, because ADHD, yeah, because it's 2 ADHD kids, right? If anyone had any other specific things that they were curious about, feel free to ask. And again, thank you all for listening. As a reminder, the album is going to be released very, very shortly. You can pre-order it right now at our Bandcamp. It is 2 albums. It's $7 each. One album purchase does more than every stream on even the best streaming software on the planet. So anyone who can, thank you. Thanks for the entertaining stream and informative post-album stream interview. Hell yeah, Arc Boy, hell yeah. Might have missed it. What prompted doing a collab in the first place? Vamp, I will happily tell that story again. The TLDR is we had worked together on a couple of tracks before. Benny's been on a couple of Sonderlust tracks. We had done the collaboration EP Jam that I hosted a couple years ago, and I want to bring back. So maybe in the later half of this year, I might try to bring that jam back. And that had been a really, really good time. And then in a Mara stream, we were talking about like ridiculous band names and song titles and stuff like that. And that was where the name Soulsbornian Tendencies first kind of came around. And it was actually Canned Lizard who said, elucidating Sandwich Rumpus as the name of a song by Soulsbornian Tendencies, which piqued this beautiful mind over here. And he's like, I'm going to make that. And then he sent me the song being like, hey, this is what I thought for elucidating Sandwich Rumpus. And I was like, I love this immediately and I need to do stuff with this. And it just kind of blew up from there. And then we decided to make a whole project out of it. Last question to both. What's your favorite part of the other's music making style? Ooh. Do you have an answer for that? I think I do.
Yeah, I can start. It's hard for me to pin down one thing, but one of them is the specific, how do I say this? It's the gumption to. Well, firstly, I like Salt's mixing. That's one of the things that I like. Salt really mixes things quite closely and quite nicely in the air, and the album has the benefit of a lot of Salt's mixing tracks and me finally mixing going, phew. But I am very happy with Salt's mixing and also the way they were able to flip a track. I like the idea of flipping a track, and the drum and bass samples are really rocking. And there's certain synth lines that, like the panning and the filling of the ears, that just makes this really lovely sound of noise that we both like. And I think that's something that we both share in our music. Just the gumption to go there and to really make something that's harsh, even if like you said, you're making people making music for themselves, and I can just tell that in the music. And there's certain. I'll even pull up my favorite EP by Sonderlust is 5 a.m. Even though Salt says this might be the one that's one of them that's not worked on the most out of.
It's so like 5 a.m. is so funny because it's called that because I started it at 5 o'clock in the morning and I finished it in 4 hours on a stream.
Yeah. but it's got some glitchy stuff, neon white style, drum and bass and weird. Oh, and that's probably also another thing is that Salt's use of plugins being able to twist and create textures. There's some textures like the bubbling texture and the disintegrating texture. They're so nice. And then just the ability to let the track run as well is a nice thing, because I need to learn to let the track run. So learning to let the track run is something in Salt's album that's done the last style that I love a lot. Yeah.
Thank you. I could go on all day about Benny's writing style. I think one of the key things that I think, like from a selfish perspective, one of the things I love the most about Benny's production style is that it forces me to adapt. And what I mean by that is quite the opposite. I'll let a loop run. I'll run that shit all day. And Benny's like, no, new piece, something. And there's so much beautiful dynamics in it. I love Benny's ability to chop anything. I've some of the craziest samples, and I'll admit this here and only here so that we don't get into trouble. In the song Codename Tybalt, there is definitely a less than legal sample in it that we definitely don't have permission for, but it is so chopped to hell that if you don't know what it is, you probably wouldn't know. And actually in Yeah Yeah as well, there's another sample that if you weren't told, you would have no idea what the original things are, because Benny's ability to just take a sound and transform it into whatever he needs it to be. Like, it's like, this is a synth now, this is a snare drum, this is, like a tom texture, whatever he needs it to be in the song. That's what it is now, too bad. And I think that there's something absolutely powerful in that. And also, Benny has done this for me in Sonderlust and now has done it in Soulsbornian Tendencies. Your ability to just pick out lush chord progressions out of root ideas that I have. Your ability, and I kind of said it while it was playing, I said he has the ability to find the marble statue in the marble that I present him. I present him a rock, and then he just carves out this gorgeous piece of like melodic beauty. And I'm just like, where the hell was that? How did you do that? And he just like, it was your root notes. I just played on top of them. And there's actually a song that didn't make the EP that'll probably make it on another album, just because just for production times we had to cut it. Waltz Dizzy. That had like this really interesting bass line that I did, and Benny put this gorgeous lush piano over top of it and makes this stunning thing. And like, honestly, I want to finish that track and share it with you guys because it's really good. But just like so many moments like that. So it's like his ear for melodic structure, his ability to just take anything and make it into anything he needs it to be in that moment. There's just a lot of like musical alchemy that he does that blows me away. Use of sampling and just unapologetic structuring and unapologetic frenetic chaos where it needs to be. It's great.
You can partially thank my piano teachers and my parents for forcing me to go to piano lessons as well for that one. So I wouldn't know my chords if I hadn't been, I'm very thankful that I did. But at the time when I was a kid, I was like, piano lessons again. It's just like over and over. But now that I'm older, I can play, and I'm like, oh, I like that. And now it's come to fruition with this album, is like being able to play chords. It's like
it's a great. I think it's a really great example of like the best way to break the rules is to know them, right? And like your knowledge of the rules allows you to just disrespect them in such an amazing way.
All disrespect to chords here.
Thank you for that question. It is 10:48. Technically speaking, the album releases at midnight my time. So technically the album releases in an hour and 12 minutes. You think we should release it an hour early?
I don't mind. Yeah, if you want to. There we go.
Yo, Riggy! Yo, how the fuck are you? Welcome in. I'm glad you got home. Get some good sleeps. What do you say, chat? Should we release the album an hour early? Should we just release it right now? Should we just drop the album on you? Cat is like, yes. Okay, give me 2 seconds. I'll do that right now. I'll do it right the hell now. Part 1 is live. And 1 second, part 2 will be live. Boom. The album is live, baby. With that, let me drop the link one more time. It is official. The album is now live on Bandcamp. And it will be live on streaming services soon. There was an uploading hiccup. It was supposed to be live on streaming services at the same time. We unfortunately caught a hiccup literally last night as we were double checking everything. So it will be live on streaming services in 2 weeks. We had to re-upload it to fix the glitchy hiccup that happened. But it is now live on Bandcamp. The album is live. DZ, I fucking love you. Welcome in. If you are at all interested in supporting us with an album purchase, you can buy it on Bandcamp. Every album purchase is worth 800 billion streams or infinity streams on Spotify because they give you nothing. If you cannot right now because the budget is tight, don't worry about it. You can still support us when it comes out on streaming. Stream it on all the streaming services, preferably Tidal or YouTube or Apple Music or anything that isn't Spotify. But if Spotify's all you got, I'd rather you listen to the music than not. That's it. From the bottom of my heart, thank you all for listening. Thank you for this amazing journey.
Good, yeah.
It's been absolutely incredible. I can't believe 2.5 years to get here. 22 songs in the can. And like we have a joke EP in the works. Like we have some pretty silly songs that we want to get out there. And there are unreleased tracks from this album that at some point we're gonna get out there as well. So this is just the beginning. Oh yeah, release joke EP. Joke EP will be coming. It will be coming. If it's up to me, this is not the end. This is just the beginning for this project. If it's up to me.
Yeah.
So everybody, thank you all so much. Y'all are the fucking best, and we'll talk to you soon. Let's go find somebody to raid. Honestly, I'm just gonna play some of the album again while we're raiding out. Y'all are the best. As for regular streams, they'll be back eventually. Yeah, I need to fucking sleep. I have not had a proper sleep in a week. So I'm gonna nap a little bit more and celebrate. We're both friggin' tired. So yeah, let's honestly, I think what I'm gonna do is we'll start from the first album again. We'll just start playing it, and then as we do that, we'll find somebody to raid out. So everybody, thank y'all so much. Peace. Bye.